Takes from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, a show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
John Trumbull, how are you, sir? We're into fall now, I guess, or summer's ending.
Doesn't the fall start around the 20th? Isn't that usually when? Yeah, I think the change of seasons usually happens around the 20th or the 21st.
Oh, I don't know how seasons work.
I mean, September. Yeah, we're basically in the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the in-between time, the borderline.
Yeah, all the kids have started back to school.
Yeah, school buses everywhere. Traffic builds up. I gotta wait for the crossing guard to let the kids cross before I can drive to where I gotta get to.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. It's neither one of us has kids, so
yeah. No, we don't.
The whole school stuff. It's like, I mean, that's nice for you. It's kind of a nuisance for us.
Yeah, like you go on Facebook, you see everybody's taking pictures of their kids, like first day back, and like holding up the new backpack.
I don't really mind that. That's fine. Yeah.
See, I was gonna be all snarky and jerky about it, and then you.
Okay. But were you being sincerely snarky and jerky about it, or were you being ironically snarky and jerky about it? Because I couldn't tell.
I don't even know anymore.
Okay.
That's the thing about being like, snarky and different Gen Xer. Like you don't know if you really feel those feelings or you're just doing it to be a poser. I don't know.
There's a gag in The Simpsons where it was like some Gen X kids at Lollapalooza, and it's like, dude, are you being sarcastic? And he just goes, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, but no, it is cute to see kids with their backpacks and like, hey, my little man's all grows up.
Yeah, it's
stuff like that.
It's really weird when I see like, my college classmates and like their kids are going to college now. That's just wild to me.
Yeah, I know. It's like there's like a friend of mine who I still remember when we were hanging. She was pregnant, and I still remember when we were hanging out one day, and like she was like very close to
Darren, did you get your friend pregnant?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Right.
No. Oh Lord, no.
Okay, just making sure. I just wanted to see where this story was going.
No, let's not put that on wax. Okay. No, it was like a friend of mine, Kim and I. We went to hang out with them to a game night, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm about to give birth any minute now." And like the very next day after we hung out, she was in the hospital giving birth, and now that person is like 14 years old or something.
Wow. Yeah,
and it's like, damn, just like sands through the hourglass.
Yeah, time flies. So basically, we don't like your kids because they make us feel old.
Yes. If your children could stop aging just so we could still feel like we are still young and vibrant, that would be great.
Yeah. I, as a person, would really like that.
Yes.
So get on that, people.
Yes. Make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of kids in school, we figured, hey, let's do some school-themed movies for this episode, and we're going to talk about the film Admission with Tina Fey and Paul Rudd.
To clarify, we're just doing the one movie, not multiple movies.
Right. One movie?
We're just doing the one movie, just Admission.
Oh, all right, fine.
Yeah. Because if I was supposed to watch more than one movie, I got news for you, buddy.
What?
I just watched the one.
You didn't watch You didn't watch all and every movie based on schools that have an SNL connection in them? Like I
did not. I did not. Intentionally so.
This is all right. This is how I find out.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought 6 years of us watching one movie for the podcast was enough to establish a pattern. So
apparently not.
I mean, if you wanted to like suddenly up it where we're like watching more than one movie and then somehow talking about two movies in the space of like an hour and a half.
All right, fine. I guess we're only going to talk about one movie this episode.
Yeah, I think so. I think that is how it is going to work.
Fine. Listeners, I apologize. I know you expected a 10-hour podcast about us listing all the movies that have school connections, that have connection to SNL, but we're just going to talk about the one. I apologize.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, I did borrow this movie from my local library, and I've got a description on the back. I could go ahead and read that if you'd like.
Kick it!
Tina Fey and Paul Rudd star in this hilarious and heartwarming comedy about the unexpected detours we encounter on the road to happiness. Year in and year out, Princeton admissions officer Portia Nathan, Tina Fey, has lived her life by the book. But during her annual recruiting trip, she finds herself reconnecting with a former college classmate,
Oh,
free-spirited teacher John Pressman, Paul Rudd. As she bends the entrance rules for one of his very unconventional students, Portia puts at risk the futures she thought she always wanted and finds her way to a surprising and exhilarating life she never dreamed of having.
ooh.
From director Paul Weitz in Good Company and co-starring Michael Sheen and Lily Tomlin, it's the feel-good movie critics call Funny and Fresh. Glenn Kinney, MSN Movies.
Ooh.
That,
Very
that
nice.
kind of turned into a Casey Kasem long-distance dedication halfway through.
I didn't want to say anything. Yeah, it felt
But-
very Casey. You get
But I went with it. I was just feeling the Casey Kasem energy.
yes. Top
And
tip.
yeah,
Okay.
long distance dedication. Can't I got to go in from one of those up tempo numbers into a goddamn dead dog dedication. Little dog named Snuggles.
It's down on the phone. It's down on the phone. But yeah, we're talking about Admission, directed by Paul Weitz, who did American Fiction, American Pie. Jesus Christ.
American Fiction, very different movie.
Very different.
Very different movie. One you've been talking up to me for a couple months, and I put it on my queue, and I still haven't watched the damn thing.
But yeah, if you guys watch American Fiction if you can, it's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul Weitz did American Pie, Down to Earth, about a boy, which
About a boy, a movie I outright love.
yeah, I remember that movie being a lot better than I expected to. But I was like, oh, and In Good Company too. I think that's like, I remember that being really good too.
I still haven't seen In Good Company, and I bought it used ages ago, and I never got around to watching it. And still haven't seen the damn thing. So.
Yeah, I remember that movie not doing well in the theaters, but it's better than I guess maybe the ads made it look. Go check out In Good Company. I really dug it.
That was Dennis Quaid, Scarlett Johansson, and Topher Grace.
Yes, back when Topher Grace was like kind of the it guy for a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of was for a hot minute there. Yeah. I like the Topher Grace.
Yeah, Topher. I'm surprised he's not in more things. Like really,
he's good. He's very good.
It's good stuff. Written by Karen Kroner, came out March 22nd, 2013.
Yeah, and it was based on a novel by let's see, I have her name here. It's Jean Henneth Korelitz.
Yes.
Yes, I had no idea this was based on a novel until the end credits.
Me neither. That was a surprise to me. The movie had a budget of 13 mil, made about 18 mil, so like a modest hit, we'll say.
Yeah, but it didn't. I mean, a movie has to earn like 2 or 3 times its budget to break even. So.
Oh, all right. So then I don't know how numbers or Hollywood works.
Yeah, I don't think it did very well. It doesn't sound like that's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the movie coming out and it's just kind of coming and going, and there wasn't too much hoopla around it.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers and I was just like, well, that looks okay. And now I've seen the movie and I'm like, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, that's what
that's about it.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It was kind of, vanilla. Kind of. It was good. It was fine. But I don't. Let's talk about it. Let's try to figure out why it was just. Okay.
This is the type of movie. It's really, really tough to talk about because it's not great and it's not horrible. It's really just fine.
Yeah, and
it's just kind of mediocre, which kind of surprised me because I was like, I really like Tina Fey, I really love Paul Rudd, and I was like, oh, a nice charming rom-com between the two of them, I can go for that, and it's fine. Yeah,
I mean, I will say the chemistry between Fey and Rudd is very good. Like when they get on screen, like it pops.
Yeah, I don't know. Even their chemistry, they didn't have as much chemistry as I was expecting.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was bad material or if they just didn't click as actors as much as I was expecting. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing them in another movie together so I could figure out where the fault lies.
Yes. Who's to blame?
Who did this?
Who did this? All right. Well, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk through it and get into the movie and figure out where it
went wrong. Yeah.
Yes. So we open up on Princeton University. We open up on
from New Jersey. Yeah.
From New Jersey, Jersey's own Princeton University, and we get to see Dan Levy as a tour guide. for Princeton, giving parents and students a tour of the campus, and a lot
Hmm.
of them are like really hoping. Of course, the parents are really hoping to get their kids into Princeton.
Yeah, it's really competitive. They like quote the numbers at some point early on in the movie, and they said something. What was it like? Something like 12,000 people apply, and they can only take a little over 1,000
Yeah,
for each class. It's highly competitive because I mean,
yeah,
Princeton.
yeah. It's a big deal.
Hmm.
From what I understand, it's a big deal. But yeah,
Yeah,
so you see all these, hungry parents frothing at the mouth,
yeah,
trying to get their kids in, and then we see Tina Fey's character, Portia Nathan,
yeah.
who's
She's
a
the admissions officer at Princeton.
exactly, and then of
Yeah.
course all the parents kind of hover over her. It's like, oh, like what do you have to do to get in? To get how can I get my kid in? What do I gotta do? What do you want? You want
Yeah,
money?
yeah, they all want the secret formula, and I mean, it's literally like, oh, if you say the secret password, your kid will automatically get into Princeton. That's kind of what they're hoping to hear. It seems like.
Yes, very much so. Uh,
Um,
yeah, so they're getting ready for the school year and getting ready to look through all the files of people who
mhm,
are submitting for Princeton, and then we see that Portia gets a call from John Pressman, played by Paul Rudd,
mhm.
who is the director of a new school in
The
New
Quest School. It's a
Quest School.
developmental school
Yes, in New Hampshire, and
in New Hampshire, and he invites her to his campus to like check it out and meet some of his students,
right.
and she's like, oh yeah, okay, well, since you're a new school, I will go and check out your students and visit in person, because like part of her job as an admissions director is to like visit various schools
Yeah,
and kind of promote Princeton or encourage people to apply to Princeton.
yeah, going like recruiting trips.
Recruiting trips, yes.
Yes, and also so John Pressman also quickly states that, oh hey, I went to Dartmouth just like you did.
Yeah,
So
at the same
this
time as you,
yeah,
and
so
you just know that's going to come back into play later.
yeah,
He's not just going to mention that and it's never going to come up again. And I'm like, oh, why?
yeah, that
That's
Chekhov's
weird. Why?
yeah, yeah, that
Yeah, why?
Chekhov's gun is there for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. And Wallace Shawn is in this movie. Great Wallace Shawn.
Yes, he plays
He's
the dean of admissions,
yeah, Clarence.
Clarence, and
And he announces, yeah, Princeton has fallen to number 2
oh
for the universities, and he's retiring. He wants to go out as number 1 for the class of 2016. So he's like, I'm retired. And, of course, Tina Fey wants to step into his job after he retires. So she's got to really have an impressive year.
right, and of course she has like a bit of a rival in another admissions officer,
Right.
Corinne,
Yeah.
who is
Played
like
by Gloria Rubin from ER.
yes, that's where I recognize her. I knew I
Yeah.
recognized her from somewhere.
Yeah, she was in on ER for I don't know how many seasons, but she was the one who was romantically involved with Eric Lascelles, Dr. Benton,
Yes.
and she became HIV positive because her ex husband was a scumbag,
Oh dear.
and she was like living with HIV and all that, and I
Oh
don't remember how they wrote her out.
wow. I didn't know you were.
I don't think they actually killed her off or anything, but
I didn't know you were a big ER fan like that.
I watched the first few years. Yeah,
All right.
I mean, come on.
Okay. No, yeah, I don't think I ever got into it.
Oh,
For whatever
it's a good
reason.
show. I mean, Anthony Edwards,
Yeah,
George
like
Clooney, Sherry Stringfield, who I had a huge crush on back in the day. Like
yeah.
I was crushing on her from NYPD Blue, and that's kind of why I checked out ER.
Okay. Oh, okay. There.
And it was also part of NBC's must see TV. So
You gotta see it.
I was legally required to watch ER.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the bylaws.
It was like I must see this. That's how it works.
It's must see TV. If I
It's
don't see
must
it,
see. Yeah,
the cops are gonna come knocking on my door.
exactly. I don't need that grief in my life.
Can't be taken away in handcuffs in front of my
Yeah,
neighbors. What?
yeah.
You don't want that.
Anyway, she was on ER.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we see that Portia is basically a very level-headed, career-driven
Yeah,
person who really loves her job and loves her work so much
right,
so that she doesn't have any kids. She doesn't really want any kids, and she's in a
right.
relationship with English professor played by Michael Sheen, who
Michael
plays
Sheen, yes.
yes. And
When you need a British person in your movie, consider
yes.
Michael Sheen. He's the chair of the English department. She's been living with him for 10 years, and they have like a quick thing that establishes that she's not good with kids. When one of her coworkers says, "Hey, can you watch my three kids for an hour or something?" and she's just like, "Oh no!" and the kids immediately start screaming and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
oh, go ahead.
well, yeah, then Mark comes home, and then
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, what are these screaming kids doing here?" And then
Yeah,
I believe the mom comes to collect her kids, and then Mark is like, "You can't leave. You can't leave these kids with Portia. Kids hate her. Don't you know that?" Like
yeah.
he says something kind of
Yeah,
tricky.
it's really painting a broad brush.
Yeah.
She also early on in her narration, and she doesn't narrate much in this film, so I don't know why we had the narration at the beginning. She says, uh, "I'm I'm not a sadist who enjoys saying no, because the it's so competitive. She has to say no more than she says yes." And then literally like 5 minutes later, we see her push a kid off her desk, and I'm like, "Are you sure you're not a sadist, lady?" Because that doesn't seem like a very nice or kind thing to do, even if the person is being as jerky as that kid was.
As he was.
I'm just like, I'm not a sadist. 5 minutes later, shove kid off desk.
Get off my dick. Yeah, but that is the thing. They did that little narration thing they did. They did kind of abandon it like
Yeah, I'm
10
just like,
minutes in the movie.
yeah, why do we do that at the very beginning if we're not going to maintain it?
I
It's
don't
it's just a
know.
weird choice. This movie made a lot of weird choices. It's going off in a million different directions.
Yeah, maybe that's why all the directions it went into made it why it was just okay instead of better than
Yeah, I
what we were
think so. I,
expecting
I
it to.
feel like, I mean, because it's adapted from a novel, and that when I saw that in the closing credits, I was like, oh, that makes a little more sense. Because like in novels, you can go off in a lot more different directions, but in a movie, you got to pare things down. And I feel like they should have axed some of these subplots.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah,
So we're at this point now where Portia and Mark are very happy with their lives together,
right.
or so they say. And then
But he
Portia,
pets her like a dog.
yeah, just
Yeah,
pat
like
pat,
literally patting her on the head.
yeah, like on the head, which is
Yeah.
hmm.
Not like oh, I'm rubbing your hair in a gentle, loving way. It's literally like patting her head like she's a golden retriever.
Yeah,
It's weird, is what I'm saying.
it's a little bit on the weird side, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
yeah,
she goes to meet Paul Rudd at this
at the,
school. What is it called? The Quest School.
in New Hampshire,
And
yeah,
yeah, and he's got a real mixed bag of kids. It's a non-traditional school because Paul Rudd's a non-traditional guy, and she's all
yeah,
uptight, and
yeah.
oh, they're gonna come together. Um,
It's a ragtag bunch of
yeah,
free thinking Greta Thunbergs up there.
that's right. That's right. And she starts in her usual Princeton spiel about, hey, take out your pen and write down what you need to attend Princeton, and nobody wants to take out a pen because they're
Yeah,
all a bunch of free thinkers.
yeah, like that's the thing. Like we see her like a montage of her going to other colleges and everybody,
Yeah.
all the other colleges like, oh, let me take my pen and write these notes, and like they all
Hmm.
take
Hmm.
what she says very seriously.
Right.
But when she gets to this school in the middle of nowhere, the students kind of challenge her. It's like, why do I want to be part of this school that has a
Yeah.
history of anti-gay, anti-black, anti-women oppression?
Right.
Prince is an institution like an oil company is, and like just really getting in her face about like Princeton is just this
Yeah.
fucking huge
You
evil.
think Princeton's a shit? Princeton's not the shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
think it's
And
hot shit on a paper plate or
yeah, and so
something.
she meets this kid Jeremiah, who's this prodigy who wants to attend Princeton, but he's not a typical prodigy. He doesn't have a great academic record. She also meets John's son Nelson, who's a kid from Uganda that John adopted. In case you just didn't like Paul Rudd enough already, yeah,
Yeah,
he's adopted an orphan kid from Uganda.
I mean, my God, the man's a
Yeah,
hero.
yeah. We meet Lily Tomlin, who's playing Portia's mom.
Yeah, she lives in the neighborhood.
Right.
Not in the neighborhood, but she lives near where the school is. So
Yeah, near the New Hampshire school.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Portia decides to stay with her, and the two of them have interesting relationship, we'll say.
Yeah, we find out in her first scene that her mom had a mastectomy like a month or two before, and she didn't bother telling her daughter.
Yeah, yeah. The daughter's like, "Wait, what? What happened?"
Yeah, she notices that Lily Tomlin's like wearing falsies, and she's like, "What are you doing? What's with the falsies?" And she's like, "Oh, I had a mastectomy like 5 weeks back." And Tina Fey's like, "You didn't tell me?" And she's like, "Well, what were you gonna do?" And she's like, "I could have driven you to the hospital."
Yeah, it seems like the two of them don't have like the closest of relationships, and
Right.
like it might mainly because the mother, Lily Tomlin, is like very insistent on being
Insane.
insane. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's one way you could say it. But
She literally says like she's got like these two dogs and these gorgeous hounds, and she says like, "Oh, dogs should get their own food."
yeah, like part of me was like that seems like abuse. If
It
I mean,
does. Yeah.
I'm not.
And yeah, like because Tina Fey's like, "Oh, let's go feed you," and she's like, "No, they'll get their own food. Like there are squirrels around here." There's
Yeah, because I mean, Tina. I mean, because Portia's mom is seem to her big thing is like she likes to be self sufficient and not
yeah,
depend on anybody. Like
right,
when Portia comes in, she's building a bike, and Portia's
yeah,
like, you can just go to a bike store and get an already built bike, and
yeah,
she's like, well, no, that I don't want to be. I want to be able to do things with my own hands. Like women are always conditioned to like lean on other men or stuff like that. And like I want to be able to build a bike. I want to do things by myself and not need anybody. And the dog should be able to be self sufficient too. They can chase and eat gophers like they were
yeah,
meant to do back in the when they were wolves back in the day.
right.
And it's like, all right, that she seems a little off her rocker. And like at one point she said, "Don't you shouldn't maybe you could stop calling me mom, just call me Susan, Susanna,
Yeah.
call me by my first name." I was
So they have a great relationship.
fantastic.
Yeah, and then like Tina Fey, she finds out like the real reason that Paul Rudd has invited her out to his school, the Quest School, is he says, "I think Jeremiah is your son, is your long lost son."
Whew. Yeah, that's a whole thing because like
That's a big plot twist I wasn't expecting.
I was not either. So yeah, so
Yeah,
basically what happens is like as Portia's staying with her mom,
yeah,
John calls again. Like we see John taking a big interest in her. Like at first we think it's because he
yeah,
likes her, which there's a little bit of that, but then like later on
yeah.
we find out it's because he wants to do his diligence. Like he brings up the fact that oh yeah I went to Dartmouth and all
Right,
these and so he calls her up again and say, hey, can we meet up for drinks just to talk about the application process that we do here
right.
at Quest? Of course, I'm thinking, oh, he's trying to hook up, as they say.
Yeah, yeah.
And
He's shooting his shot.
yes, shooting his shot, and there is a
Yes.
little bit of that, and like the two of them have a very nice dinner talking about, raising families and kids and
Right,
all
right.
that, and then while when John drops her back off to the house, they have like this awkward, very awkward kiss, like
hmm
the most awkward of kisses.
Where she's going for the cheek kiss, and then yeah, because of the heads intersecting, yeah, it turns into full on lip lock.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and then that's when
I've had that happen. It is
that
awkward.
really
Yeah,
that happened once to me where I was like I was like a PA and like
yeah,
we finished wrapping some film
hmm
and like I think one of the producers was a little drunk and because we were at a rap party and it was like, hey Darren, it's good to see you again, and like she was gonna kiss me on the cheek
hmm
but then I turned my head and she ended up kissing me on the lips
yep. I
and
had that happen.
yeah and my
It was end of a date. I think I was going for like a kiss on the cheek, and then like she turned her head, and I'm like, oh, I'm suddenly kissing your lips, and
yeah
um, no,
my
that was not my
come on
design. It was just like, oh shit,
yeah
accidental lip lock. Sorry.
yeah baby, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Um,
yeah, but also like when that woman accidentally kissed me on my lips, my then girlfriend, now wife, was standing right next to me. So
oh yay. Okay, even more awkward. Yay.
yes, I had to be. Oh no, I mean, no, baby, this ain't. I
Yeah.
don't know her like that. It was. It was a. We all laughed about it though, but for a minute there,
Yeah.
your boy was sweating bullets.
Right. I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. My embarrassment was just in the front seat of a car, so no one got to see it except me and the young lady. But
That's
Still awkward
that's
and
where
embarrassing. And
that's where embarrassment should be. No audience. No,
yes, exactly.
no witnesses.
So he says like, "Oh, I think Jeremiah is your son," and he tells this whole. We don't find out the whole backstory until like a scene or two later, where he says like, "I was Shelley, your old roommate at Dartmouth. She borrowed my car back in the day, and I looked it up. He was born on Valentine's Day of 1995 at 1 p.m. and that was right when she borrowed my car.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I think she says like, I mean, and so that was yeah, that was it's very convoluted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is how we find out that Portia did get pregnant in college, and
Right.
she did have a baby, but
And
she
gave
gave
it
it
up for
gave
adoption.
it for
Yeah.
adoption. Yeah,
Yeah. And it was the kid was born Valentine's Day, 1995. So
right, right. So now Portia has to kind of deal with all this now. Like, oh,
right.
what? And of course, she kind of latches out, like, what are you telling me? What was all this? It's,
Right.
just stay away from me, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And then on top of all of this, she finds out that her boyfriend Mark is having twins with Helen, who is a Virginia Woolf scholar in the English department, and he is leaving her for this Helen woman.
and twins.
Yeah, and it's a
Wow,
humorous subplot that doesn't really go anywhere.
it doesn't. Yeah, Michael Sheen was kind of
He's
underused.
pretty wasted in this thing.
Yeah, like I mean, I noticed what they did because like it becomes like a running gag throughout the film where
Yeah.
whenever Portia's at like some low point,
Yes.
he
If
happens to
she's
some.
crying in public or something, he thinks that she's crying over him.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, that's cute enough, but I don't know if it was.
It's a funny-ish idea. It never like this movie isn't as funny as it should be. I don't even know if this movie wants to be a comedy or if it just wants to be like a comedy drama thing. It's like neither fish nor fowl. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's. I would put this in like probably like the rom com type of category. Like it's almost a
Yeah,
Hallmark movie, but not quite.
yeah,
But a
uh,
little bit, different.
yeah. Um,
But yeah, yeah. So like when she gets back, like you shoot Mark comes clean at some big kind of reception that they're having for all the professors, and that's when he's like, "Oh, hey, you're back. Well, I'm leaving you now because I knocked up
right,
a Virginia Woolf scholar,
right,
and like she's gonna have my baby. So
right.
peace." And yeah, so that's not good.
So she starts freaking out over that, over the breakup, and over the whole Jeremiah possibly being my son thing. We see her crashing a party, like a fraternity party, to check on Jeremiah because Jeremiah is like visiting the campus to
Yes,
check
Jeremiah
it
John.
out.
Yes, Jeremiah John and Nelson visit the
Right.
Princeton, the campus and
Right,
just
and
check it
where they
out.
do that thing where like you stay with a current student and then you check it out and then you go to a fraternity party or two and you get
Right.
an idea of what the university is like and what the culture at that college is like. And yeah, I did that before I went to college. I did that with a couple colleges,
Oh,
as I
cool. Yes.
recall.
How
So,
was it? Did you get a good vibe of the place? You're like, oh, this
I
seems
mean,
like.
that's how I ultimately decided on where I ended up going, University of Evansville,
Oh, nice.
and I went to another couple places. I remember doing that at least one other place.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Groovy. All right. You hear
it
that,
brought back
kids?
some memories. Yeah,
All right. Hear that, kids? Check out some colleges. See what's up.
that's right.
Uh,
And she's getting very overprotective, and she like takes Jeremiah out to buy a toothbrush.
yeah, I thought that was sweet.
Yeah,
Uh,
um,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so she's kind of she's trying to figure out what all this means.
right.
She talks to her mom
Yeah, she hasn't
about.
said anything to the kid. She hasn't said like, "Hey, I'm your mother," or "I
Yeah,
think I'm
no,
your mother."
yeah, no, that
She,
has not happened yet.
it's all just yeah. So she's kind of figuring out like, "Oh, am I this kid's mother? And if so, what does that mean?" And that whole thing.
Right, exactly. She tried to talk to her mom about it, but then the mom kind of goes off and like a little bit of an info dump here, where she talks about how the like she know they basically is telling us that Portia doesn't know who her dad is, and even
Yeah.
the mom doesn't know who the dad is because she just wanted some sperm to have a baby. So she got laid by some dude on the New Jersey Transit, and like she doesn't know who
Was
the
it
guy is.
actually on New Jersey Transit, or was it just a
That's
dude she met on New Jersey Transit?
I thought it was on the train, like not.
Well, that sounds unsanitary.
I've been in New Jersey Transit. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
could happen.
I would.
Yeah,
I have seen some things on New Jersey Transit. I have not seen that. If
it's
I did see that, I feel like I would move cars.
yeah.
I have seen a woman throw up, but that was on the New York Path train.
Oh God,
Yeah.
right on the floor.
She was like drunk and sort of half asleep, so she started sort of throwing up on herself,
Oh,
and then then people kind of like got her to face down onto the floor. So yeah, she finished up. Yeah, she was not in good shape.
oh dear, that's yikes. I
On Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, it was kind of awesome. It was wildly entertaining.
rock and roll.
It was like, I don't know this person. I'm never going to see this person again. This is kind of awesome.
Pretty rad. Pretty rad.
I think I was heading back from like a stand-up gig or something like that. I was just like, wow.
Yeah. Only in New York.
Yep.
Vomit on the train. I don't think I've ever seen anybody vomit on themselves, which is. I saw somebody smoke crack on a train once, but
Oh, well, that might be my story.
yeah,
Wow.
no, it was a weird thing because like it was me and my now wife. We were riding the A train. We were on the A train. We were taking it from like Washington Heights on down to like Midtown or something, and yeah, like it was a pretty packed train. And then we see this one guy. He looks kind of out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but everybody's kind of looking at him, but like no one's doing anything. And then at one point, he pulled out something wrapped in foil. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a crack pipe.
Yeah, and then he like
Yeah.
starts to light it and smoke it, and
Wow.
then somebody exclaimed like, "Oh hell no, motherfucker smoking crack on the train," and then like like everybody moved. The next stop, he got off. Everybody. And yeah,
Could you do that voice again, please?
like oh hell, I know it sounds like Eddie Murphy in his heyday.
Yeah.
Oh hell no, somebody's smoking crack on the train.
I love that. That's a great story.
I think the cops might have gotten him at the next stop.
Really? But he sounds so discreet.
Yeah.
Really? He was smoking crack on the train, and the cops picked him up. You say?
I don't know how he was like on the low. He's like a spy. I don't know how they found him.
Wow, how clueless or deep into your addiction do you have to be like, yeah, I'll smoke this crack on the train. That's a good idea.
It's a big fine. It's everybody's cool,
Wow.
right? You guys are all cool.
Anyway, okay, so not throwing up, not smoking crack, getting impregnated on the New Jersey Transit.
That's where it's all happening, people.
That's where it's all happening. It's big "Are you ready for me, Ralph" moment.
Oh God. All right, so we have Portia going back to the Quest School.
Mm-hmm.
He's there while I think she wants to talk to John. John's helping a cow give birth. So we get like another little
right, yeah, because there's like livestock at this place.
Yeah, this college is really
well, it's a high school.
It's a high school.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, because he's trying to get into college. So.
Yes, that's right. That's how schools work.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, we find out that Jeremiah really wants to go to Princeton. He really liked his time there. So
right.
Portia wants to help him. So he wants to say,
right.
"Oh, you need to get your essay in order. You got to get your transcripts in order."
Right.
She gets the transcript.
But first, we got to deliver this baby, and
yeah, I don't know why they had to
deliver a cow. We don't really see anything. It's just like we see actors kind of standing behind what I assume is like a prop fake cow.
I'm assuming maybe they couldn't afford a real cow.
Or maybe they were just like, nobody wants to see an actual cow give birth.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, like we just see them standing behind a cow, and then it cuts to black while some like squelching noises are made, and then the two of them are in the shower together.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're in a shower with a divider.
Yeah,
between
not
them.
Together.
Not together. Like Tina Fey is showering, the cow stink off, and then Paul Rudd comes to use the next shower stall, and she's like, hey, didn't you see the do not disturb sign? He says, I saw it, but you're not the only one who reeks of cow placenta. This, by the way, my favorite line of dialogue in the film.
You're not the only one who reads of cow placenta.
I mean, and like, damn it, Paul Rudd is so damn charming. He's even charming when he's talking about cow placenta.
It's a gift. The man has a gift.
Yeah. So yeah, and they're talking back and forth while they're showering, and it's the sexual tension and all that.
Yeah. So, Jeremiah really wants to get into Princeton, so
Right.
Portia wants to help him get in. But like she's at this point, she's trying to create that balance between I can't do anything that's like where I'm like kind of abusing my power as an
Right.
admissions
Because she so wants to be on the up and up. Like, even when she and Paul Rudd are out to dinner, he's going to pick up the check, and she says, "No, I can't accept gifts."
Right.
And he says, like, "Oh, well, I guess she's paying, or Princeton's paying for my sandwich."
Yeah. By the way, like if you find out somebody else is picking up the check when you go out for dinner, order more shit. That's how.
Spoken like a true broke comedian.
Yep. Oh, you're paying for this? Oh,
Yeah.
well. Lobster, please.
Yeah. Lobster thermidor. No, I'll have some caviar to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any Grey Goose on hand? I'll take.
Pardon me, sir. Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Would you please pass the jelly?
So she's saying, like, okay, well, Jeremiah, your transcripts aren't great, but
Yeah.
you gotta have, like, you gotta be a well-developed, well-rounded student. You gotta have outside activities and stuff. And Paul Rudd's saying, like, oh, well, he's got that. You gotta come out and see what this kid's all about and see how awesome he is.
Right, because like as Portia read the transcript and it's like, yeah, this is like the worst transcript I've ever read. He's gotten
Right.
D's and F's. He's been
Right.
suspended. He's had detention. He's in special ed classes. This is
Right.
this is total garbage. He can't, of course he can't.
But he took, like, the advanced, or the exams for the advanced placement classes, and he, like, aced them all because he's
Right, which is unheard of.
Yeah, without taking the classes first. So I don't know how he was able to take those exams without taking the classes, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, so
don't know.
Portia decides to help him. She mails a whole bunch of books to John about how to prepare for the SATs and the submission process, and like she's helping him. At this point, she feels like, well, I'm still not abusing my power, but I'm
not stepping outside the bounds of what I'm supposed to do. Yeah,
I'm just helping this one person
right.
prepare for how to submit to
The
for
admissions
Princeton.
process. Yeah,
Yes.
and Portia, she has to convince one of her coworkers, who's also on the admissions board, who's Vlad, this Russian guy who's in the department.
Oh, yeah, professor.
A professor, yeah.
Polakov.
Yeah. And like, if she can get him to write a recommendation for Jeremiah, that would help his chances. So there's this birthday party for John's son Nelson.
Right.
And Portia's going to that, and she's taking her mom because Vlad, the Russian professor, is a fan of her mom's writing.
Right. And like the professor has one of her books, and like he's enamored.
He has a bit of a crush on her from afar.
Yes, exactly.
So he's like, yeah, I'll go to this if you bring your mom along.
Bring your hot ass moms.
Yeah. So they go to this party. We find out somewhere around here that John and his son Nelson, they are moving to Ecuador sometime in the near future.
Right.
Because John has moved around a lot. He's been all around the world. That's how he, like, adopted a kid from Uganda. He's got a lot of wanderlust.
Yes. Ooh, that's another movie he was in.
That's right. Yeah. See what I did there?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and that's
he's having a wet, hot American summer.
He's really man.
Yeah. And
I tried.
Portia's kind of clueless. So
already a brother. I don't know.
And her mom is the object of Vlad's affection.
And you're good. Do you have this written down? You're good at this.
I like Paul Rudd.
Damn it.
I've seen a lot of his movies.
Absolutely. But yeah, and then we get this one scene. Well, there's like a couple scenes that are happening because we learn a little bit about John's relationship with his son Nelson.
Right.
And it has its issues because we learn that
You see
John.
what we mean by there being a lot going on in this movie?
Yeah, because like we learn John is like a kind of guy who likes to fix people's problems, and he never
Hmm.
stays put in one place.
Right.
But the son Nelson really wants to be in one place. He doesn't like traveling as much as John does, and
Yeah, he
he
doesn't want to move.
yeah, like he
Yeah.
likes his life to be a little bit boring,
Hmm.
which causes friction between them. And then we also learn from John's mom, who comes out, like basically there's this one scene where John's mom
Yeah.
and Portia's mom kind of talk about how they're both disappointed in their kids, like how they both
Yeah.
didn't live up to their potential.
Hmm.
Where
Hmm.
like John's mom is like, oh, he could have been Harvard Law, but he gave it all up to go to Uganda or whatever. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Portia's mom, Lily Tomlin's like, oh yeah, like she's like a strong Amazonian warrior. Like she was walking by herself at 9 months without any help,
Right.
and like now she's just doing this. Like they're both kind of
She's been at Princeton admissions office for 16 years, and
yes,
I'm like, that sounds awesome.
a steady.
What the hell's your problem, lady?
Yeah, your child has a steady job. What's the fucking
Your
problem?
child has a steady job, and yeah,
At one
I'm
of the
just
most
like,
prestigious colleges in the world.
I know, and yeah, somehow this is disappointing to you. I
Like
don't get
what?
you, Lily Tomlin. I don't
Yeah,
get what's going on.
I don't.
Um,
Mm.
so at this party, Jeremiah he does a ventriloquist act
Yeah, because
with
this is the extracurricular that John
right,
told
right,
Portia about.
right, and and like it's very kind of cringy. He's got a Rene Descartes uh, ventriloquist dummy, and he's doing all these jokes of like I think therefore I am, and
Don't put
it's pretty cringy.
don't put the horse before Descartes.
Right. And
you,
and we
you
see
get it,
Paul
John. You
Rudd
get
cracking up at it, and nobody else is digging it at all. So you're just like, oh, this kid's bombing.
yeah. It's a very niche audience.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
into ventriloquism and Descartes? Well, do
So
I have an act for you?
when Portia is leaving, Nelson is in her back seat. He's like trying to leave with her. He's trying to sneak off with her because he's like, you're normal and boring. I want to be with you.
Take me with you.
Yeah, and she of course brings him back to his father, and then that ends up with Portia and John hooking up.
Yeah.
Um,
Justify
which is
my.
kind of surprising. It seems a little out of nowhere because she didn't seem that into him before this. But I
I mean,
guess she's
throughout the
yeah
movie, there was some sparks. I mean, they kissed earlier in the movie.
yeah they did. It's just weird. Like it again. So many subplots and none of them get as developed as they should. So
Yeah, because we see John Pressman getting worried like he's messing up as a parent because he
yeah
wants to give his son everything he wasn't given, but it
yeah
seems like his son wants what he was given when
right
he was a kid, which he rejected. And it's a whole yeah, because like he talks about like yeah, my
the whole
son
thing.
just wants to wear navy blue blazers and listen to Light FM. Like, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah
Although
yeah
Light FM is pretty dope, I will say that. Come on, listen to some nice Al Jarreau. What are you talking about here?
sure yeah.
Come on, smooth
Man did the
R&B.
moonlighting thing.
Hell yeah! Now you're getting it. Some some smooth tunes,
So
some Pablo
so
Cruz.
so Portia and John they hook up. They spend the night. When Portia gets up the next morning, she discovers that Vlad, her coworker from Princeton, is still there, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I hooked up with your mother,"
just
and
just wow.
yeah, and it also turns out he really liked Jeremiah's ventriloquist act, so he's like, "I will write a recommendation for him."
Yes. So
So okay, so we're in the whole admissions process for Jeremiah. We're starting to make it happen.
yeah, I mean, although I will say at this point, like him writing the acceptance letter or whatever, it
The
does
recommendation.
recommendation rather.
Right.
It could seem like oh he wrote it after Portia pimped her mom. Like it could seem
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the light.
and Lily Tomlin even has like dialogue to that effect beforehand. But
Yes,
yeah, it's vague. Yeah,
the lines are getting blurry. Is what
we
we'll
don't
say.
see a scene of them actually hooking up. We just hear about it after the fact, so we don't know what actually went down with them.
Yeah, we find out like I think at one point like Lily Tomlin was like on the couch and she had like a wrench. She was sleeping on a wrench and she pulled that out from behind her.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, what was that used for?
I don't know.
Oh,
I feel like it's just a type of place. What, was that at Lily Tomlin's place?
yes, it was at her house because like Portia goes
Right,
to her
because she's
mom's
not
house.
far away from. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so she just seems like the type of person who has random wrenches lying around.
yeah,
I don't know if the wrench played a part in their sexual escapades. Maybe it
yeah,
did. I don't
maybe
know.
who knows? Hey, you never know when you need a wrench.
Sure.
So then we cut to Jeremiah's interview with Princeton alumni.
Right. Which is
The
apparently part of the process.
I guess
I
so.
don't know if that's just a thing Princeton does, or if, I certainly never had to interview with an alumnus when I was interviewing at colleges. Did you?
No, I did. They just
Yeah.
let me in. They're just like, yeah, your grades look all right.
Like,
Welcome
yeah,
home.
I sent transcripts, I wrote an essay, and filled out an application. I think that was pretty much it, man.
Yeah, your check cleared. Welcome, welcome in.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, oh, these ones say you take you choose which one you want to go to, and you go to that one.
yeah.
So,
School. That's how that
right,
works.
right.
But
But
yes,
the alumnus guy is really he's kind of dickish.
he's a bit of a douche, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And Paul Rudd like calls the guy a prick under his breath before he's out of earshot. So,
Mm.
dumb move, Paul Rudd.
Rookie move. Rookie move.
Rookie move. Um,
Yeah.
but
So
he can tell that Jeremiah is such a non traditional kid. He's not going to go over well with this dude.
yeah, like I think at one point the interviewer is like, "Say, so tell me a little bit about yourself," and he's like, "Well,
Yeah,
what do you mean? Like my metaphysical self or my
yeah.
exploratory self?"
Like you get the feeling this kid's on the spectrum somewhere.
Yes. Oh God, yes,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. Dollars to donuts.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
So yeah, so they have the interview. We get the feeling that it didn't go well.
mhm.
Um, so Portia has to figure out other ways to help Jeremiah get in. So she kind of
Right.
buries the hatchet with
Her rival.
her rival Corinne, but she's kind of
Right.
faking it just to get her on her side when they have to accept
Yeah,
students
yeah.
in their
She's kind of
school.
doing favors for the others to like, yeah, kind of mend fences, build bridges, whatever.
Yeah, like you can see, like she's constantly kind of blurring the lines of what is acceptable to do as an admissions officer and what isn't, because
Right.
she really believes in Jeremiah and she really believes he belongs in Princeton.
Right, right. Because he's like self educated. He like
Yes.
there's a flashback thing where he's saying like, oh, from the age 8, I kind of realized that teachers wouldn't be able to teach me anything. I had to like do my own education. So he's like totally self taught,
Yes, he is
basically.
autodidact.
Yes, that's what they said.
Yes.
I
Uh,
was like, that's that long word that means something cool educational wise that I don't entirely know the meaning of.
it just said the self-taught person from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think he's like a polyglot. I think they call him a polyglot at one point.
Ooh, that's
So
fancy.
yeah, yeah, very fancy.
Yeah.
And so we have like a big scene where it's all the Princeton admissions team, and everybody has like their own region of the country. So they've all been traveling to different regions of the country to go to different high schools, meet different students, and all this, and then they review everybody's application. They write if high probability, deny, accept, blah blah blah. But then they go over every single one in
Mm.
this marathon, at least 3 day session. We see like I think at least 3 costume changes.
Yeah, yeah. So they're choosing from the freshman class. They start on the West
Right.
Coast.
Yeah.
We see that.
Totally random order.
Yeah, yeah. Totally random order. We see Corinne kind of fighting for this one person to get in, and the other people are on the
Mhm.
fence. But then Portia sides with her, saying, "I think we should let this person in." Maybe I looked at that person's file, and maybe I was a little bit
Right.
hesitant at first, but I think this person has the passion. But Portia's only doing that because she knows she'll need Corinne on her side when she wants to get Jeremiah in.
Right. Right. Yeah. So she's kind of, yeah. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, sort of
Exactly.
thing.
There's a good amount of that. So
And while they're discussing the students, we see like the students standing there in the room. They're not literally in the room, but they're there. And like when a student is rejected, they open up a trap door underneath them, and then they just fall out of the frame. And I'm just like, where did this scene come from? Why are we suddenly doing this surreal humor like an hour or more into the movie? It's really weird. It's so out of nowhere.
yeah, like if that's like, I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to sort of make you really feel the I guess the repercussions of the actions of all these
Hmm.
admissions officer, where like yeah, like, we kind of choose these children's fates and futures. So like
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
get it.
fine. It's just not in keeping with anything we've seen in the movie up until this point, which is why it weirded me out.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I get what they were going for, but yeah, it
Yeah,
did
but
kind of.
it's just totally a different style of humor, a different style of movie.
Yeah, fair
So
enough. Fair enough.
yeah, so Portia, when they finally get to her, she's like the last region because they choose the regions they're going through randomly. And Portia, she presents 28 denies in a row to kind of prime the pump, I guess, for Jeremiah.
Right. This is all.
And
Yeah.
you don't get the sense that she's intentionally sabotaging any of these students, but she's just kind of presenting a lot of borderline cases at best
Right.
to
Yeah.
to try and make her choice look really good.
Yeah. She's playing chess, not checkers.
Right. Yeah. And then she finally presents Jeremiah, and yeah, and his academic record's not great, and she emphasizes, oh, but he's, he did all these tests, and he did really well here, and da da da, and he has these extracurricular things, and who votes yes, and like only one other person I think votes yes, not even her rival votes yes, because
Mm,
Gloria Ribbon's not a good person in this movie.
mm. Yeah, like unfortunately she doesn't convince any of the other officers to
Yeah.
let him in. Like
Wallace
they'll
Shawn's like, nah, nah,
yeah,
it's too big of a risk.
yeah,
He's just not Princeton material.
very much so.
Yeah.
So it's yikes. So it's a no, and we see Jeremiah fall through the trap door.
Right. Right. And then not long after, Portia gets a call from a guidance counselor who tells her about a student by the name of Jesse Bolton, who was somebody they accepted. And the guidance counselor tells her that he is definitely going to Yale.
Yes.
And
So
why is the guidance counselor telling her this?
I
I
do
wasn't quite
not
clear on that.
I do not know. Like
He just calls her up randomly and says, "Oh, this guy's definitely going to Yale, so he's not going to Harvard." I don't know if he's just trying to give her a heads up. I don't know if this is something shady
I think so. I
going
think
on.
that's it. I think he was thinking, well, if he's not going to Princeton, then maybe
Right.
somebody else could use his spot.
Right. Yeah, it's
So
probably something like that. I guess he's just giving her a heads up.
yeah, yeah. So like I guess that was just a common courtesy type of thing.
Right. But we see like a scene where, because they make a very big deal, because again, Princeton's so prestigious, they make a very big deal. There's no sort of appeals process. Their decision is final, and they even like after they're making all the calls to tell people. Well, I guess they're not making the calls. They send the letters because
Yeah.
that's how colleges do it. But they're fielding the calls after, and they have a chart of, on one side it's like all the nice things that people have said, and on the other it's like, oh, here are all the awful things that people have said. And we see Tina Fey like writing on the chart like, I hope you get rectal cancer,
Ooh,
which she's like, that's a new one.
that's people are passionate.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and having done phone sales jobs, I can relate to people saying horrible things to you over the phone when they're not
Ooh,
hearing what they want.
what's the worst thing somebody said to you?
This was when I was working for Tiffany and Company, doing phone sales for them,
Okay.
and Christmas time, their busiest time of year,
Yes.
and a lot of it is like you have to, when people have their orders, you have to like kind of monitor their orders and make sure that they're going to arrive on time, like Christmas Eve at the latest,
Yeah.
and if it didn't look like they were going to arrive on time, usually because of weather conditions or whatever, or they're cutting it too close. You have to call people and say like, hey, just so you know, this might not arrive in time. And I had one guy who told me I fucked Christmas. Yeah,
You fucked it.
I fucked it.
You fucked
In
it.
my defense, I totally bought Christmas a nice dinner first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will, I will take her out for a nice seafood dinner and I'll never
Yeah.
call her again.
Thank you, champ.
Yes.
And by the way, we get, we work up to Christmas Eve, we get Christmas Day off, and then, you come in December 26th, and then of course you have to like
It returns.
return all the returns and exchanges and all that. And people didn't get quite the right thing. And I, did my due diligence. I checked up on that thing. It arrived on time for Christmas.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
People get, I know. It's a thing.
People get really caught up. in the chat.
Yeah,
I mean, understandably, it's emotional stuff,
yeah,
and yeah,
uh,
emotions are high. But
yeah. Tensions
I'm
run
just like,
high, and
yeah, dude, you didn't have to tell me I fucked Christmas. I didn't fuck Christmas.
no, yeah, you didn't. It's a
Yeah,
thing where like they need somebody to blame. They don't want to blame themselves, and you're the
yeah,
only person on the phone that they're talking to, so you get the heat.
right. Yeah, no, yeah. The fault is not me that I didn't order this until like December 22nd. you know,
Whatever, man.
yeah,
Yeah. So, so in the movie, so in this movie, Portia hears that there's an available spot because Jesse Bolton is
right,
going to Yale. So
right.
this is where she crosses the line. She basically,
Yes,
because
she goes like full Lori Loughlin, Felicity Huffman on
ooh,
this.
let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, she falsifies records
Oh boy.
to let Jeremiah in. She gets onto like Clarence's laptop and she changes it from like denied to accepted, and she X's out Jesse Bolton's accepted. She changes that to a denied because
Right.
she's told he's going to Yale. Again, not her place to decide this.
No, not at all.
And then she has to go into the physical files because there's like a sticker on the front of the folder where they check with a red big red marker if they check accepted or denied, or I think there was a third option like standby or something. I don't
Wait
remember.
list. The wait list.
Wait list. Okay, that's it. And so she has to like switch those around or put new stickers on them or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
but she does this. She like falsifies records to let Jeremiah in, and I don't know how she expects to get away with this.
Well, she didn't because she gets caught
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah, I know. I'm watching this, and I'm just like, how are you expecting this to? Yeah, she's not thinking straight
Yeah,
at
but
all at this point.
right because like in basically the very next scene,
Yeah.
Wallace Shaw calls her in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I got a call from Jesse Bolton's dad
Yeah.
saying he didn't get the acceptance letter, but I
Right.
know we accepted him. And then I looked at my records, and it says like he was denied, even though I know
Yeah.
full well he wasn't denied. And I
Yeah, because
see,
we were in a room together and we all discussed it, and there are like a half dozen other people who discussed it, and it's like, again, how do you expect to get away with it? She's just so not thinking straight.
yeah, I think at this point, I think she knew she was going to get caught because she even says it as much. But I think she was
Yeah.
just really kind of just throwing herself onto the sword. Where like I think she figured, well, if Jeremiah accepts the letter before they find out what I did, then that's kind of legally binding in a way.
Right,
Unlike they
right,
can't.
and that's basically what Clarence says. He says he tells Portia, "Look, you are going to submit your resignation, and I will give you a week to clear up your affairs," which seems, under the circumstances, very generous.
Yeah, a full week. All right,
Um,
all right.
I mean, if I'd been in Wallace Shawn's position, I would have been like, "You're cleaning out your desk today,"
Yeah,
and
like I'm calling the cops.
yeah, but they can't like contact the people, and they can't rescind Jeremiah's acceptance without bringing this whole scandal to light, and they
Yeah,
don't want to do that. So
so they're just handling it quietly.
yeah, they're handling it quietly, and I guess Jeremiah's in Princeton. Yay,
Yeah,
Jeremiah!
he did it. So so Jeremiah gets into Princeton, and
Right,
Portia loses her job.
right, yes,
But
and
they will stand. Yeah, so that's it. So then the next we see them at the Quest School for
right,
Jeremiah's
graduation party.
graduation.
Yeah,
We also forgot we didn't mention the part where Portia meets Jeremiah's adoptive mom and dad, and she
yeah,
kind
it's
of
a quick scene where
the quick scene.
what's the last name again? I didn't write it down.
Uh,
Something with a B.
Balakian.
Balakian, yes, okay. And she meets them, and she's like, "Oh, you're wonderful," because they're his adoptive parents, and yeah, she's. I mean, every time she looks at Jeremy, she sees like this big mistake in her life, like staring her back in the face. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. She gets very emotional over it. So
yeah,
then at the graduation party, Portia shows up, and she, goes over to Jeremiah and
right.
tells him, I don't know how to say this, but I'm your mother. I'm your birth mother.
I'm your birth mother, and he's like, "No, you're not. I met my birth mother months ago.
She's a hairdresser.
She's a hairdresser, and I was born at 11 p.m., not 1 p.m." And if you look at this birth certificate, you'll see that it's a copy, and the other one is missing. So
Yeah.
she's like, son of a bitch, Paul Rudd lied to me.
Yeah, like at this point, I did think that for a second that this
Yeah.
was like all some elaborate scheme to get Jeremiah into Princeton. Like, oh, maybe if I talk to this admissions officer
Yeah.
who I know
Like
had,
he did research on her
yeah,
and
but I don't know, that would seem like really elaborate and really paint Paul Rudd in a bad light, which no one wants.
no one wants. No one wants. So that would be, but you know what? That might have been a more interesting way to end it
Yeah, like
because you wouldn't see it coming. It would be like say anything, you know?
yeah, exactly. It'd be like this whole like he had this whole Machiavellian plan in place
Right.
to get this kid into college,
Right. Right.
like Primal Fear style shit.
Yeah.
I
Um,
thought it was that, but no, it turns out Paul Rudd didn't know either. Um,
yeah, he was an honest mistake,
yeah, and but either
but
way, Porsche
a very convoluted mistake.
very
But
convoluted. But yeah,
that's
we see Porsche's like looks devastated, and she leaves. She tells Paul Rudd, "Don't contact me anymore." You know,
right.
what was this whole thing? She goes to her mom's house to tell her off.
Right.
Basically, like, yeah, you had this whole, being a, self sufficient type of woman thing, but like in the meantime, I got left behind, and I don't know who my dad is, and like,
Right.
and she tells her mom that she got pregnant in college and gave the
Hmm.
which her mom had no idea.
Yeah, her mom apparently thought she was like studying overseas somewhere.
Yeah, the
And she's
Netherlands,
like, I was actually living above a,
a gar-
I forget what she said.
like a garage.
Yeah. And, yeah, I gave my kid up for adoption. And so, yeah.
Whew.
um, and while she's doing this, like we see Tina Fey, she's like driving around town at one point, and she drives by what she soon realizes is her ex boyfriend Mark's wedding to the Virginia Woolf scholar,
Yes.
and she's so distracted by that she actually crashes her car. She rear ends her car, into their like honeymoon vehicle,
Womp womp.
their little just married
Yeah.
thing. And it's yet another thing of like, oh, you're taking this breakup really really hard. And
Didn't mean to hurt you, girl.
yeah,
Didn't mean to make you cry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, and also we learned that John isn't going to Ecuador after all
Yes, yes.
because his son Nelson didn't want to go.
Yeah, that's another thing that. Yeah, again, that whole Ecuador plot. I was like, I don't know why this is in
I
here.
don't know why this is still in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I guess I see what they're trying to do with Paul, the character. With the
it's
relationship
going
between.
in so many different directions.
Yeah,
I wish they could boil this down. I wish they could focus it just on the admission stuff or on the romantic comedy stuff or maybe a combo of both. But we don't need the ex boyfriend stuff. We don't need the rivalry with her coworkers stuff. We don't need the are we going to Ecuador because it never feels like a real pressing thing.
yeah. The Ecuador thing doesn't really. I mean, I guess it's in there to give the character of John more backstory to show how he, like you said, he has this wanderlust. He goes off to other countries and works on
Right.
projects. And he never stays
Yeah.
still in one place.
Right.
Uh, I mean, yeah, I guess, but I don't know if that's really needed in
Yeah.
this story. But yeah, so we're getting towards the end here. So at the
Yeah.
end, John shows up to Portia's place. He apologizes, and then
Right.
they sort of, you know,
Yeah. Says I'm not going to Ecuador.
yeah, he's not going
And
to
yeah.
Ecuador because he wants to make his son happy. So he's gonna
Right.
put his son first for a while.
Yeah.
Cut to, we see that Portia's living with her mom in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
and so
She's been living with her for a couple months. And
yeah,
we think she's on a job interview at first, and you're like, oh wow, she's like really oversharing because she starts talking about how she gave up this baby in college and all this, and then we realize at the end of it, oh no, she's actually decided she's going to contact her biological son and track him down and find out who he really is.
exactly. And yeah, so then they show this. Then they cut to this little party get together everybody's having at the mom's
Right.
house. The mom is still, hooking up with the Russian
Vlad.
professor, yeah,
Yeah.
Vladimir, uh, and we see Portia and John are still dating, and
Right.
they're kind of rekindling, and we see that like a letter came in the mail for
Yeah.
Portia, and it's like a thin envelope.
Thin letter in a blue envelope, so it's kind of parallel to like the acceptance letter, I suppose.
Exactly.
And she's like, okay, well, this is obviously this is from the adoption agency, and she opens up and it says your biological son is not ready to meet you at this time.
Yeah, and then
And and I imagine those things don't really give you any additional context.
yeah,
It's, it probably is that boilerplate,
yeah, pretty much. Like I think they have to sort of
Yeah.
keep all the emotions
Yeah,
out
just
of.
because of privacy concerns and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
and absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so John's like, oh, so you haven't been rejected, you've just been waitlisted, so that's
Hmm.
fine. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Because Paul Rudd's a lovely human being.
Paul Rudd's the best. What are you talking
Yeah, I
about?
mean, even when he's doing slightly shady stuff in this, you still love Paul Rudd.
How could you?
Everybody loves Paul Rudd.
Everybody, man,
Yeah,
women, children, they
yeah,
them's.
yeah. I was convinced when we had the big cliffhanger in the MCU between Infinity War and Endgame. I was convinced that Thanos was going to be defeated just because he met Paul Rudd. And he's like, God damn it, I can't destroy the half of the universe that Paul Rudd is in. That
Look at
would make
this.
me the world's biggest bad guy. That's
Look at this guy. He's the best.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's awesome. This kid, right?
yeah,
I don't know why I have Thanos talking like a
yeah.
a guy.
I don't know why you made Thanos a Guido, but
Yeah, it sounds like a guy from Bayonne.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, this Paul Rudd guy.
Yeah, remember that season Thanos was on The Sopranos?
Yeah. Maron, Tony, what is you stirring the sauce?
This guy, I like this guy. He was a good guy. He
Good
was a
guy,
good,
good guy.
good guy. Good guy.
Nice, good earner.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird ending to the movie. It's just it's kind of an aggressively mediocre movie. I thought.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not
No, it's
great.
not. It's not terrible, but it's not particularly good either. And it's
Yeah,
which is what really surprised me. I was hoping for like a buried gem, uh, or hidden treasure, or buried treasure, or hidden gem, whatever that phrase is.
yeah. This movie is just
It's
like
just
you
kind
said.
of there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the definition of mediocre.
yeah. Which
I mean, it's nice. It's fine, but it's
yeah,
not.
it's fine, and they're doing what they can.
Yeah,
But I think the story's just very muddled. I don't think the screenplay's that great.
yeah.
I looked up the screenwriter, and she doesn't seem real experienced. I think
Ooh.
she only has like one more credit after this movie. So
Yeah, I was trying to find her own. I mean, she doesn't have a Wikipedia page, and
right,
her IMDb
yeah.
page is
This movie was like 2013, and I think she had one other credit in like 2017, and that was it.
okay.
So,
Show business is tough.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, hey.
Um, little trivia. Paul Rudd
Yeah.
replaced Owen Wilson in this film. I guess Owen Wilson was originally supposed to be in it.
Wow. Replaced
Wow.
Owen Wilson. Wow.
You should look at
Wow.
Jeremiah.
It was gonna be Tina Fey and Owen Wilson. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, Jeremiah. He's a
I
great
I don't know if
kid.
that would have worked better. Maybe Owen Wilson. I could see him working. I could see him being the non-traditional, uh, guy running his wacky school.
I could see
Yeah, I
that.
could see that working.
He's got that vibe. Yeah, the two of them
Yeah.
have Paul Rudd and Owen Wilson do have the same laid back kind of likable vibe.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Rudd, he seems like a slightly more together guy than Owen Wilson, and I'm talking about the characters they play. I'm not talking about them in life.
Oh yes,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah,
Well,
did you look at the IMDb trivia for this movie?
I did. It's very, very short.
It's very short, and actually, I looked in the goof section, and the goof section is hilarious because most of them aren't really goofs. It's just whoever was writing these submissions got hyper fixated on.
Okay.
Like, okay, under miscellaneous, we have when Portia visits the new Quest school for the first time, a student asks, why should I apply to an elitist institution with a history of anti black, anti gay, and anti female oppression? Here, the use of anti is not required. Its use makes the sentence double negative.
Oh, for God's sakes.
And, no, it gets better. Here's another one. The Holstein cows are very skinny. No farmer would milk cows that skinny.
That's somebody really looking for goofs.
That's just somebody who's like, I know a lot about cows. But okay, here's my favorite. This is under errors in geography. The characters drive back and forth multiple times between Princeton and some unnamed place in New Hampshire Under optimal circumstances, that's about 300 miles in 5 hours of driving, and that assumes no bathroom food stops and no delays on the Hudson River crossing or on the shortest route, the Cross Bronx Expressway. And yet in this story, it's treated like New Hampshire is one county over from Princeton, and the time and distance are simply not mentioned.
I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yeah, so are we supposed to believe there's some sort of magical xylophone? I just was like, okay, this person just has thought way too much about.
I mean, I thought about it for a minute. I was like, yeah, Jersey from Jersey to New Hampshire, that's a long drive.
I mean, but movies cheat geography all the time. That's literally not something I ever thought about. But that and the cows. Like, these cows are too skinny to be milked.
All right, that is something I would not have noticed at all. Like, that was something.
I hope these were like all the same person. I hope it's just somebody who's like a grammar Nazi, knows a lot about cows, and knows a lot about commuting from New Jersey to New Hampshire.
Somebody's like, oh, time to put my bovine knowledge to good use here.
Yeah, it also says twice Portia mispronounces her bonsai tree as bonsai tree.
All right, that's just ridiculous.
These are the most nitpicky errors I've ever seen on IMDb. It's kind of hilarious.
Oh, yeah, wow. All right, well,
that's just like, I think that's more of a you thing than a movie.
Yeah,
thing.
that's you looking for problems rather than this movie having problems.
Yeah, I mean, this movie has problems.
This movie does have. It's not perfect at all. It's
no,
the dialogue. I mean,
I think I might have enjoyed it more if it got like a little more satirical, like the movie Election or the movie Bad Teacher, where they're doing like really absurd and really immoral stuff to get this kid into Princeton. If it gone like a little further,
yeah, I can see what you're
or maybe it went a little more surreal, like in the scene where we're seeing the students dropping through trapdoors. Maybe if it had more of that type of humor, throughout, it could have been something better. But
yeah, it's kind of it seemed like a movie that's trying to figure out what it was trying to be.
Yeah, it's just there. I don't feel like anybody had a really strong idea of what this movie was supposed to be.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like I know the overall theme is, motherhood and parents and with their kids,
right, and how far you go to your kid, for your kid, and or who you think is your kid, and
exactly. But like that was like the main theme, like parenthood. But yeah, it just there were like a lot of through lines and threads that just kind of whenever.
I wonder if the book's better, if the book is as muddled as the movie is, or if they just did a mediocre adaptation of the book.
I don't know, guys, listeners. If anybody's read the book, let us know.
Yeah, it's the book was published April 2009. Let's see. Entertainment Weekly gave the novel an A- rating.
Okay.
They called it that rare thing in a novel, both juicy and literary, a genuinely smart read with a human beating heart.
Ooh.
But the Wall Street Journal criticized the novel for its wooden monologues and improbable love story. So now I don't know what to think.
This
what the hell? I need Wallace Shawn to come in and tell me what to think.
Yes, inconceivable.
Yeah.
So that's the movie. Admission. It's fine.
It's there.
It's there.
It's a thing.
It's inoffensive.
We get to hear Paul Rudd talk about reeking a cow placenta. So
yeah,
that was probably the highest. That was probably when the entertainment value peaked for me.
Yes.
Paul Rudd and Tina Fey in showers next to each other and just talking about cow placenta. That's all I want from a movie.
That's all anybody ever wants from a movie.
Right.
Let's work. That's exactly. So
I don't know.
Yeah, overall,
Yeah.
Has had so.
Yeah. It's the very essence of so.
Very much so. So
it's just like I was like, ugh, how are we going to get a whole episode out of this? If I'd seen this before, I don't know if I would have said, "Oh yeah, let's do this movie."
Yeah, but we did it. We got it.
We did it. We have undeniably recorded a podcast episode about this movie.
Hot damn! Yeah, damn straight we did. And that's the episode, guys. Thanks again.
That's the episode.
Thanks again for listening. As always, to the podcast. As always, you can follow us on Twitter, because we refuse to call it X, at SNL Nerds Show.
Yes.
And you can follow me on all the socials at Darren Credible, DARIN Credible.
And you can follow me on all the socials at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic.
Absolutely.
And
I just thought of something. Hey,
No, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
lay it on me.
If you want to hear me talk more about SNL, you can check me out. I was a recent guest on the SNL Hall of Fame podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes. You posted about that, and I said, "Oh, yeah, we need to mention that on the next episode of the podcast." And
And,
you remembered, and I didn't. So, way to go, Darren!
yay, I did
Yay!
it. So yeah, so the podcast was with my good friend Thomas Senna, and yeah, we just talked about Garrett Morris, and like you'd think he'd be kind of a slam dunk person to talk
Mm-hmm.
about, like getting into the SNL Hall of Fame, he's the first black cast member. But then, like the more I kind of looked into it, it's like, oh yeah, well, it's a little tricky because he didn't have too much to do on the show. He's
Yeah,
kind
he
of
was very underused, and
yeah,
yeah,
underused, and he kind of went under the radar a little bit. And he didn't have many memorable characters. He has, Chico
mm,
Escuela, of course, and
right.
the president,
News for the hard of hearing.
hard of hearing.
Our top story
Yes,
tonight. Yeah.
exactly. But like, I was able to sort of find more about him and like really look into what he did on the show. Like a lot of, I mean, he was very overlooked. I mean, there's like a number of reasons for that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he didn't come from a traditional improv background like everybody else did.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was older.
he was older. Yeah, I forget
Yeah,
that he was like 38 on the show, and like everybody else was like in their 20s.
honestly, I thought he was a little older than that, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
he's 38, and yeah, everybody else
yeah,
was like young kids. So he was like the old black man on the show. It's like, well, what do we have this
right,
guy
yeah,
do? But like
and I think race has got to be a factor too,
yeah,
right?
I mean the fact that there were no black writers, so they were
Yeah,
like, well, I don't know, he could be a mugger. I get, yeah, there was a lot. There was,
yeah,
there was a lot
probably,
of that.
probably,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I think I made a good case as to why he should be in, like, and the little things he did there to like really kind of showcase what he could do. He made a lot with the little he was given with. I
yeah.
ultimately I said. So like if you go back,
I'm gonna get me a shotgun and kill all the lighters I
we
see.
talk about that. We did.
Yeah, well, of course, you got to talk about that. That's one of his standout moments on the show.
Give me all, kill you all. Why does I see?
I mean, that is brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a quick bit, but it's brilliant.
Lord and Lady douchebag.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
had moments here and there. So
Oh yeah, no, he definitely has moments, and I'm looking forward to hearing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing Lamorne Morris play him on the upcoming Saturday Night movie.
oh dude,
Opening very soon.
I
in
can't wait.
just about a month's time.
Yeah, like I think they've even done like a platform release where they're going to release it earlier in limited release in a few places.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, we're not sure exactly when we're going to see it, but we're going to do our damnedest to see it ASAP, just see it as soon as possible, so we can talk all about it on this podcast.
yeah. So from what I'm seeing, it's going to be in limited release in LA, New York, and Toronto on September 27th, and then
Ooh,
it's going to have a limited release October 4th, wide release October 11th.
wow! Which is of course the 50th anniversary of the premiere of Saturday Night Live.
Yes, but yeah, I am pumped for this movie. I am officially pumped.
Me too. I mean, I thought the trailer was amazing. I'm loving the cast. It's everything I'm seeing and reading about this movie so far. It just sounds awesome. So I'm expecting to really like it. So
Yes, if I have good feeling about this. I really feel like this is going to be a strong movie. So
me too. Me too.
I'm going in with high expectations, high hopes.
High hopes.
I got high hopes.
Yeah.
High apple
High
pie
up in the yeah
in the
up
sky.
in the sky
Pie.
hopes.
Hopes.
Yeah. I don't really know the lyrics to that song.
Me neither. I was hoping you did.
The sky up in the high up high up in the sky. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that rhymes with high.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, next week's still a little up in the air, so I don't think we want to say what we're doing quite yet because it might be subject to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what we decided, right?
Yup.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, we got to check with a possible guest, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole guest thing.
It's a whole Misha gosh.
Yeah. So like, if you're listening next week and we have a guest, just know like that's the person who screwed it up, and we weren't able to announce it yet.
So send your vitriol to
that person. Yeah.
Yeah. Let him have it.
Yeah.
Get him.
And if you say, like, we instructed you to do this, I will deny it up and down.
Yep, absolutely.
I will deny it like I'm Tina Fey and I just helped a kid illegally get into Harvard.
Wow. Look at you. You wrapped it all up.
Yeah,
Nice.
look at what I did. So anyway, next week we're going to do another movie with an SNL alum, and that's all we can say right now. But until then, nerds out!
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.